Hello, welcome to a new edition of our show. Money means business, and business, as we always say, means money. Stability and business mean a lot of money. We're talking about a lot that has been happening actually this week. What's happening in Egypt, what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening worldwide, what's affecting what, who's affecting who and what. This is what we're going to talk about. I hope that we have enough time to tackle these points. Well, we do have with us tonight Dr. Hassan Shafi, chairman of the Egyptian-Romanian Business Council. Welcome, sir, with us here.
Thank you.
And we do have Dr. Abbas Zogheri, financial analyst. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
I'd like to go to a short break, after which we'll be coming back and talking about what's happening this week. Stay tuned to us. Don't go away.
Egypt has uniquely undergone two revolutions in less than 3 years for better living and the rule of democracy. Egypt remains, after all, as an attractive investment destination despite the difficulties it faced. Ahead of the 2011 revolution, the Egyptian economy was performing well, as confirmed by all KPIs.
We feel very confident about the Egyptian market. The main factors or the main pillars of the Egyptian economy are still here, and they're not going anywhere.
Egypt is a good place to invest, first of all, because it's a big market. It's a big local market. It's a good geographical location. You have good people, and the costs are competitive. So it's a great place. It was, it is, and it will be a great place to invest.
We're back again to Money Means Business. We have with us Dr. Abbas Zogheri and Dr. Hassan Shafi. Welcome, gentlemen, with us here. A lot has been happening. Actually, the latest, Prime Minister Sharif Ismail inaugurated on Saturday Akhbar al-Yom's third economic conference entitled Egypt, the Way to the Future, Breakthrough and Challenges. The conference, which will take 3 days, actually consecutive days, discusses the reality of the Egyptian economy and challenges that lay ahead. Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, praised Egypt's economic program, saying that it will push growth rates forward and create more jobs. In her most recent comments about the country's economic status, Lagarde said that the growth rate is expected to increase to 6% by 2021, adding that the country has huge potential. In a recent report published by the IMF, the Global Fund said that Egypt's economic program helps promote the country's competitiveness worldwide and support export and tourism, as well as investment. Minister of International Cooperation Sahar Nasser headed a delegation to the Egyptian-Tunisian Joint Ministerial Committee meeting. The Tunisian side was headed by the Tunisian Minister of Industry and Trade, Ziad Al-Azari. During the meeting, the two sides discussed the progress made from the previous meeting, which was attended by the prime ministers of the two countries. The European Union's founders believed that its unity would be forged in crisis, but after Brexit and the election of Donald Trump, the bloc and the geopolitical order that underpin it look shakier than ever. On Sunday, foreign ministers from the 28 EU countries will hold talks in Brussels on the impact of a president who has previously questioned the decades-old transatlantic pact to defend the continent. More about that and about what's happening in Egypt economically speaking, of course, politically speaking, all interrelated, socially speaking. And we start with Dr. Hassan Shafi, chairman of the Egyptian-Romanian Business Council. Welcome again, sir, with us here. What's happening in Egypt? How you see it? What's happening in Egypt? What's happening in the world? All interrelated.
I think there are a lot of happening today and last week in Egypt economically. Today we signed the loan agreement with IMF. Finally we did. And we got the first portion, which is 2.75 billion US dollar. That means we been approved for the loan. And that's why we have a devaluation last week and a few other decisions, such as interest rate, increasing the interest rate, and of course increasing the prices for the fuel. To make brief analysis to the audience about why we have to do that. Simply, Egypt, since over 60 years, the imports increased, or the size of the imports item always higher than the export item. So there are always a gap, okay? But this gap usually covered by the resources from the foreign currencies. In the last 5 years, we have a lot of troubles of these resources, such as the tourism. Even the oil used to bring, oil and gas used to bring revenue. Now it's negative. We purchase. We have to take from the budget. The Egyptians living abroad used to send more money. Of course, this has nothing to do with the Egyptians, but the war in Iraq, the war in Libya, and all of this has decreased the amount of revenue to be transferred to Egypt. Investment, because we don't have a stability. All of these items has declined. The number, I think the chairman of the central bank has mentioned that Egypt only 6 years ago used to have like 100 billion US dollar every year in the market. 100 billion. This number in the last 5 years has declined to be 50 or 55. Okay. That means we have a gap more than 30 or 35 billion US dollar. You have to get it somehow. If you add to that, that the Egyptians start to fall in love with the dollar and buy it and use it as an item to keep it, to store it home, because they know the value of the dollar will keep increasing, so everyone looking for his benefits. And somebody estimated that Egyptians have at their home around 40 billion US dollar. This is being pulled from the markets. If you add to that, of course, the games being done from the people who have interest to play with the value of the dollars every day. They gain a lot of profits in a single day.
Yes.
And if we add to that again some political power, like to make the economy of Egypt weaker, if you put all these pieces together, you will find that there are a lot of explanations why the dollar reached 18.6 only a week ago, and I was very sure, I'm very sure it was going to reach 20, maybe 25. So something has to happen, and it did, and I think it was no other choice. So the devaluation, of course, we don't know the results yet, but there are tools and there are details. We're going to talk about it now. But if everything goes in the right directions, I think within 3 or 4 months it's going to be stabilizing rate, and I don't know what will be the rates, but definitely it's going to be one rate. And it's not going to be fluctuated every hour or every day. It's going to be fixed for a while. So, of course, if I add to that, the government has issued the other regulations about the interest. Very simply, they want to pull the liquidity from the markets because it was a lot of inflations. And by pulling the liquidity from the markets, they make the purchasing power less and will control the prices in a way. In addition to that, we make they make I think 20% in some deposits in some of the banks. This will make it more advantage to earn or to have Egyptian currencies and put it as a deposit than to have the dollars.
Yes.
So there are a lot of benefits for that. The last one, of course, is the oil prices, and I think we talk about it here a lot of times. If you are not a rich country, you cannot subsidize your people all the time, and you go and try to borrow money to cover that.
Yes.
And the fuel.
The fuel, yeah.
One of the things, actually.
And that's why they are correcting this situation.
Yes, yes.
So it was a big mistake, and they are correcting it, but because of the social matters, they are correcting it not in one hit, but in steps.
Yeah, but then you're just drawing a lot of criticism. Some people just are going, like nuts because of that. They just, they're scared and they don't know what's happening. They start really freaking out.
Well, which is normal. Which is normal. You cannot blame them. As the doctor said, it was disaster that the fuel price is about few cents.
Yeah.
Regarding to the dollar prices. And of course, in the moment, the devaluation has changed a lot. And regarding to what happened, if you compare $1 is 18 pound or 20 pound or even 15, and you're going to buy the fuel for 1 liter, you pay 3.5 pounds. Is it for a lot of people difficult? And for about, I think, 35% of the Egyptian, it's normal because they can afford it. But the other percentage will be having a difficulty with it. And as if we speak about devaluation, it happened suddenly. It must be step by step. But this is the only way.
Could we afford to do it step by step? Why did we take this decision? We talked about it before, but why did we take this decision of devaluation of the pound, and what's going on right now?
As the doctor said, the rate of the dollar getting to 20 pound, and he said also, if they didn't do anything, it might reach 25 and even 30. And people who need it, they will buy it. And this is the only way you can stop the black market. And actually, devaluation is, in the moment, it's a positive credit for civilians. And the black market in Egypt, it was very dangerous. And it's not only the black market, but that was really an organization. They put a lot of money in the market to collect all the dollars. And it's about 8 billion pound. They pump it in the market and they bought all the dollars, and therefore it's becoming expensive.
Yes, yeah.
It's becoming expensive. Well, the value of the Egyptian pound now, it's the half. So if you got 1 pound, it's, regarding to the devaluation, it's 50 cents in the moment. But the value, if for the pound in the market, when you go to buy some things, it's the same. But prices are expensive in the moment. So if we talk about why they did it now, they have to. There is no other way. I remember last time when we were talking about, I just gave an advice, do not float now, because our economy is not ready for that. Some other people said no, they are not agree, they said no, we could have started our very songs a long time ago. But what we are going to do later, doctor said they collect, I heard about, they collect about 80 million Egyptian pound regarding to the price of the dollar, the bank at the moment. We were talking about, let's open an exchange office in the bank. So I'm very happy with the steps that they opened the exchange offices in the bank, at the bank, until 9 o'clock in the moment. Because it
but
will
this
give,
is for the moment, momentarily, or...
well, I think, I hope that they will do it all the time. That's what we were asking for. You have to give the Egyptian or the tourism or other people who come to visit Egypt the chance to go to the bank and to change money all the time, and not to go to look for an exchange office in the street to change money on the corner.
But what happens to exchange offices outside a bank right now, as the bank is just taking care of that?
Sarafa.
Well,
yes.
I think they are active,
Yes.
and still, because the amount of dollars which we're collecting in the moment, which I'm afraid of, that we're going to use it for export, and for import, and we cannot increase our export. So it got to be a balance between the import and the export to keep our exchange, or to keep our foreign currency in the bank without losing it. And the exchange offices, they are active, but not active as before, because the bank is floating. The bank is giving the same price as they did. And sometimes the bank is going higher. And I think it will not stop unless the government will keep controlling everywhere. And the central bank will keep also controlling everywhere about if somebody buy it from outside, what will happen with it, and what will the action. So we got to be awake, we got to open our eyes, and it's not only the government, because the government is not enough. I think the Egyptian people must work united. If someone saw something wrong, they have to.
Yeah, but if they have some dollars and the price goes to 18 or 20, they'll sell it. They wouldn't just say, okay, we'll do this for the whole of Egypt.
I have another opinion. I have talked to a lot of people the last times, even people, they used to change a lot of money on the black market because they could base the salary of the employee from it. They do change at the bank at the moment because they are satisfied about the price what the bank gave. So it's a positive. It's not a negative point. No. And then also I think in the beginning everything is difficult, and the media does not help.
Okay.
And they didn't also do the job correctly from the beginning, and they might have some order not to do it because otherwise it's going to be exploded. So let's hope that will be all right, and let's hope that the system will continue, And let's hope that the Egyptian people will be aware of the financial problem what Egypt have, because they are not doing this for nothing. Like the tax, the added tax. I mean, there is two ways now where you can collect money. And as I know, Egyptians got a lot of money. I think they are more richer than the government. So we have a lot of money in the country, and the step what the central bank has started with and used, it was correct.
Okay. So you approve of this step?
Yes, there is no other ways. This is the only way to stop
Can
black market.
Exactly.
I like to clarify something here. When we say devaluation, we have to know that devaluations is not just keeping the value of the hard currencies free, but also the bank and the central bank has to be capable of receiving any demands from any clients and process it as long as it's legal. So if it's an importer or an Egyptians traveling abroad, or somebody want the hard currency for medical reasons, whatever it is, if he go to the bank and the bank decline to give him the hard currencies, then that's not a devaluation. The devaluations internationally known as you have to complete the cycle. You have to really deliver the whatever demands. The cycle has to be closed. Unfortunately, that's not happening today. So what is the alternative? If somebody wants the hard currencies and go to the bank and the bank refuse to deliver it,
Yes.
the only alternative to go to the black market. So that's, you're not killing the black market. And by the way, the exchange offices, which we call Sarafa, is not the black market. Even if most of them, they operate as a black market, but actually all the exchange offices operate under the regulations of the central bank, which they give them all the rules. But once they do their own rules and they establish their own values, that's what we call a black market. That's illegal officially. So if the government of the central bank want really to close, to kill the black market completely, the only way, there are no other way, the only way is, it's like a supply and demand, either to deliver what is the demand is, or do something about cutting, increasing the supply or cutting the demands. This is the equation, okay? But without doing this, we will go in a cycle after a cycle, and after a few months, we can go back to the same situation. We've been there again. Okay. Of course, there are a lot of advantage in the future, such as once we're signing the contract, the loan contract with IMF, so we get a lot of cash. The 40 billion Egyptians people carry it at home. Once they feel the dollars is not increasing anymore, they will get a little bit nervous and they will start sell it into the markets, and that means injecting more hard currencies to the markets, and the whole cycle will work positively. Investors will come and the cycle will be corrected itself again. So there are, of course, a lot of things in what they're doing. It is being written in the economic book. But they have to have the tools ready. They have to meet all the demands. Otherwise, we will not reach the conclusion we like to see.
Yes. just one piece of news, sad piece of news that came. Egyptian actor Mahmoud Abdelaziz passed away at the age of 70. Condolences to his family and to the Egyptian people. And back again to our own issue here. Then you think this is these are the right there is no way we could do anything any other way, so we have to do it right now this way.
We have to do it right.
Yes, yes, and as Dr. Hassan said, well, we could be back to the cycle. If we don't really kill the black markets. So how do you see the future in that?
Well, I agree with the doctor about the flexibility of the banks for supporting the import or the company who needs dollars. And what I know, doctor, if you get into devaluation, you are following the international law of exchange. That means that the bank must do his job completely, and also selling the dollars or the foreign currency to the needed of companies or factories to to import some things from abroad. Either they increase also the opportunity that you could use your credit card abroad, which I know they was allow you for $100, which you cannot eat with it.
They change
abroad.
it now, by the way.
They change it to 2,000, which is not enough actually. If you have money, it's your money. You can spend it as you wish, but $2,000. I hope that they listen to us. Is not enough for someone who is carrying a credit card because you can do nothing with it.
Yeah. And this is creating lots of problems are happening.
Of course, of course, of course. Second is I think they have to do something about the import. They have said before that a lot of people in Egypt importing a lot of luxury items which is not needed, and this expend a lot of foreign currency. So let's start with the list which the country need, and also if people need luxury things, they can import it because
but luxury, isn't it sometimes like the definition of luxury? Some people might just get things which are not, by some are just luxury. Others don't really consider them luxurious items.
Why not? I mean, if you have money and you want to buy it, so why not? I mean, you can import it and you can sell it. I mean, not everybody buys the same as the other. Everyone is in his value. If someone has money and he wants to buy a luxury thing, he can buy it. Yeah. But at least everything must be arranged. That's what we're talking
sorry to interrupt, but I think we have to work very hard about this imports and export issue, because it's much more than the luxury items. To give you an example, I think Egypt imports 65% of their food.
72.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Let's say from 65 to 70. It's a hell of a big amount. So somehow somebody has to come and establish a plan to cut this regularly every year until it's, decline these figures to very minimum. If we cannot have our own food, this is too much.
Well, they have to start with the food processing in Egypt. I mean, we import a lot of food from abroad, and we have a lot of resources in Egypt, which we cannot manufacture it. So if we start with manufacturing and also starting in the food processing for which we have, I think we will save about 30% of the import, which we do in the moment. So 30% from 72, if you can keep it 40 for the first 2 years, that will be fine.
Yes.
But you cannot cut it one day, because you need factories, you need processing, you need experiences.
So it's not as simple as that,
It's not so easy.
I was smiling because I saw that in the TV actually. This gentleman, he went to one of this international cafe, and he ordered, for a coffee, whatever the name is, I think he paid over £100 for it. And he was really getting crazy. He said, well, it's in the end of the line. It is, you know, a spoon of coffee, a spoon of sugar, and a few, half a bottle of water, and that's it. You know, but
100 pounds.
we're playing games here, you know. It's a promotion, it's an image, and we give you a good name and a good picture. So you're paying all this money.
Yeah.
We have to stop that.
Yeah, yeah.
We have to stop
Well, I
that.
agree with you, doctor. I agree with you. But it needs time. We will not have it easily. And if people, what we do in Egypt here, I think we expect result very soon. If we talk about devolution, we will have it difficultly for 2 years. It will not be completed in 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. We will have it difficult for 2 months, for 2
Well,
years.
it does,
I
but
think.
we do have, you know, people that take advantage of all that, and as you said, and they just, you know, like increase prices. You know, like when the dollar was like, you know, like maybe a few piastres, then say, even when you want to go and buy roca or something, then they say, well, you know, the dollar. Lemon in the street, the dollar. You know, what a boy selling lemon in the street has to do with dollars. What does he understand about the dollar?
We
What do you
have,
think of this?
we have created, and we have to dismiss it because it's really needed to. And with getting to the market with the devaluation of the Egyptian pound, I think it's a good step for our credibility. So we are in a run, we are in a good way, and it needs a lot of work. We need to work hard to continue.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not going to be easy.
The additional things before we leave this part is the social part.
Yes, of course. That's very important.
Now, after the devaluation of the dollar or the Egyptian pounds, the value of all the prices has increased.
Of course.
And some of these items, very essential for the lower class
Yes.
people.
Yes.
And their income is the same. It has not increased.
Yes. Yes.
Of course, the military has done a good job by sending this 20 million cartons, which they sell it for 25 pounds, and the value of it, it's or the cost of it, it's 50. So that means a subsidizing again for 450 million US dollar every month. Of course, the decision is being made for only once a month. I think this carton is good for the family for 1 month. But at least we have to do it for a whole year.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, which is a lot
So
expensive.
this is the kind of subsidizing we have to help the real poor people because they cannot really survive with this inflation,
Yes.
with this increase of the prices.
Well, I will advise for another kind of subsidizes. We have to keep the prices free in the market, but we have to investigate in our people which family need to be subsidized. And I will suggest, if somebody listening to us or watching us, that we have to follow the law of to have to follow other countries who start as we did, to subsidize these families monthly with amount of money that they can be helpful to complete them shopping or them need. But subsidizing with getting in an area with a carton for 20 pounds and give it, that's too much, too hassle. I think it's good that they do, or they did, but we have to work it efficiently. We have to investigate in Egypt how many family need the subsidize.
Real
Subsidize.
subsidy, you know.
And we have to give them a salary monthly beside them salary that they
To help
can
them
cover.
survive.
I agree.
Yes.
I think we
think
have to
this-
have a good statistic, a good data system
yes. A correct
to
one, actually,
analyze
but
who
yes.
needs.
Who needs.
Yes.
And also it will help you that you know exactly how many milliard pound will you give subsidize every month. You have a lot of business people, you have a lot of rich people in Egypt, and they do really have money, enough. And you have a lot of poor people, they cannot cover the
And
cost
expensive, yes.
of them food. So if we do this for subsidize, I think we will be one of the successful countries in the world. that everybody will be having the chance to have a good life. That's what you have to do.
Well, this is any kind of comments before we move to the
Please.
U.S. elections? We have talked about that. Well, we've got here, for example, European stock markets retreated on the prospect of...
The only thing I would say,
Yes.
I am personally optimistic.
Okay,
With all of that.
This is great.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, why not? Egypt has passed through the
I think we will pass it and we will do better.
Yes.
We've
got the
better
minds
time is
and
coming.
we're just distributing our minds. Lots of our great minds coming.
It's always, I was really very nervous the last few months because the decision makers was stand still doing nothing.
Yes,
And
yes.
it was like somebody owning a house and he sees a fire in a corner of the house and he just sit quiet. He doesn't even try to stop the fire. Now they make a decision.
Yes.
Now they move.
This is what we
This
need.
is good.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that they can do the same with the rest. As you took
No
this
shaking hands
decision,
anymore. Working, really taking decisions.
we have to
yes.
work. We have to
Yes.
work. All of us. We've been talking a lot, and now it's time for work.
Yes.
For each one, even the street man, for each one, got to do his job efficiently, and we will reach it very well. And I feel a very positive atmosphere, and I'm really.
We can see, like, traveling and coming back, you can see it clearer maybe than some who are just, living here and then, like living with it. But then, you come in and watch, you can just see the developments.
Well, the last days, people were only complaining about the fuel prices.
People complain all the time, here, like they just, forget what we've been through, actually. They just don't ever look at the good things, some.
Because they are not well informed.
Yes,
and we will talk
that's,
about
that's
it. I mean,
part of it.
who complains? The one who complains, the one who doesn't know. But if you inform them and you give them the good information, I think they will be satisfied. And they will not complain. But people, they are lost. What will happen? The media got to play a big role in that.
Yeah.
And also responsible got to go to the air to say, we have a problem, we have a financial problem, and we need this money to support
be
our
more
government.
transparent in that. Okay,
Yes.
I'm going to Donald Trump's elections. U.S. Actually, with the dealers betting U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's planned huge spending policies will fight inflation. That's what they think. And the European Union's founders believe this unity would be forged in crisis. But after Brexit and the election of Donald Trump, the bloc and the geopolitical order that underpin it look shakier than ever. They seem to be just kind of scared of the choice of billionaire Donald Trump becoming U.S. president. How do you see that?
Well, to start, I have to say we all been influenced by the U.S. media.
Definitely.
The media influence all of us, as well as most of the Americans.
Of course.
And they tried to help very badly Clinton campaign.
Yes.
They did not succeed. And the whole surprise, because the media gave us a picture with the wrong
A grim
side.
picture, yes. It's very funny that the Newsweek, puts in the market 125,000 copies of its own issue with Madame President when the elections were not yet. They had to withdraw that, as it read.
Because I lived in the States for quite a few years, I know the Americans, how they think. Usually, the Americans think about themselves, economy.
Yes.
This is number one issue for them.
Yes.
They never select a president because he has a charisma or he is politically strong. All what they care, what is going to be for me.
And this is
my family.
A businessman, actually. He's
this is the ordinary American family or persons. They always think about the benefits they're going to gain. If they're going to have a secure, safe life with their income was increased, with the value of their income purchasing more items.
Yes.
They have vacation, they can put their kids in the school, and they can go to the hospital for treatment. That's all they want.
So we have 20 seconds, actually less than 20 seconds. What do you think of that, just to close your...
Well, I think the American politics must be an example for the whole world, because Zim politics is always the same.
Yeah.
And the president is just a person who represents the government and the American in the time that he is a president. And as Doctor said, the American, they only look for who is good for them to complete the economy.
Yes.
And I think they like the strong personality, and Mr. Trump, he is very strong and he has a good personality.
we have a lot to see, actually. Now.
Yeah, and I hope that he will be the right one for the American. I mean, they make the choice.
Okay, Dr. Abbas Zugheri, thank you very much for being with us. And
You're
Dr. Hassan Shafi, thank you very much for being with us.
you.
Unfortunately, we came out, we came to the end of this episode. More in the stock exchange, actually stock news, stock market news. I'm Nermeen Nazim signing off. God bless our Egypt. God bless our Egyptian army. God bless our Egyptian people. And God bless our president. Goodbye for now. We'll see you again next week.
Current projects between Egypt and China have a total value of $7.5 million. Hossam Al-Qawish, cabinet spokesperson, said these investments are distributed among different fields: electricity, housing, sewage, transportation, and the manufacturing of solar panels. Al-Qawish added that the projects were discussed during meetings on Wednesday. The meeting includes a number of ministries and officials, and it monitored the progress of the projects that are mutually prioritized, such as the projects in the service sector as well as the developmental projects. The Egyptian exchange suspended the trading activity by 2:23 p.m. Cairo time after the benchmark index EGX 100 rose 5%. As per EGX trading mechanisms, the board's administration holds all trading activities for 30 minutes if the main index hits 5%. The EGX 30 closed 4.52 or 462.66 points higher to the mark of 10,688.16 points. Egypt's Petroleum Minister Tariq Al-Mullah said that the Saudi Aramco informed the government about suspending oil supplies to Egypt unless otherwise notified. Al-Mullah said that there are no updates about the Saudi suspension of its oil supply agreement. The minister also refuted news reports that he paid a visit to Iran to have new oil deals after Saudi Arabia suspended its oil agreements last month. The US dollar exchange rate inched down against the Egyptian pound at Egypt-based banks. The USD EGP pair traded at 16.9 and 17.75 for buy and sell respectively. Bank Misr and the Commercial International Bank CIB said the bid price 16.9 Egyptian pounds at the Ascot at 17.25 Egyptian pounds per dollar. The average exchange rate stood at 17.97 for asks side and 17.58 for bids. Fitch Ratings said the Egyptian pound free liberation is a positive step for the sovereign credit profile. The global agency rated the Egyptian sovereign at B with a stable outlook. The rating agency expects the International Monetary Fund (IMF) to nod for the $12 billion deal on the 11th of November, releasing its first tranche of funding. The rating firm believes that this devaluation has mixed impact on the financial stance in Egypt. The data of the Riyadh Real Estate Investment Traded Fund showed that the fund has invested around 420 million Saudi riyal since it was established in June 2015. The Saudi Stock Exchange Tadawul announced the listing and trading units of Riyadh Real Estate Investment Traded Fund as of Sunday, the 13th of November, within the real estate investment traded funds sector. It has paid 65 million Saudi riyal for development projects, and that area available for rental total 46,000 square meters alongside another 25,000 square meters under development. Oil prices rose after Algeria's energy minister Nourdine Boutarfa said he is confident OPEC members would stick to a deal made in Algiers in September to cut output. Brent crude rose 0.94% or 43 cents to reach 46.01 per barrel, while U.S. futures grew 1.11% or 49 cents to reach $44.56 US per barrel. The Algerian minister's statement pushed the oil prices higher after a week of sharp falls. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced that 500 and 1,000 rupee banknotes would be withdrawn from circulation at midnight, saying it was part of a crackdown on rampant corruption and counterfeit currency. Consumers in the world's biggest democracy just got a big surprise. India is hampered by so-called black money that is undeclared, untaxed, or under the table, said Sakha Rizar-Kotsky, lead South Asia analyst at research firm Eurasia Group. Wall Street stocks rallied after a dramatic overnight sell-off, while bond yields jumped on inflation expectations and the Mexican peso was battered as investors reached to Donald Trump's surprise win in the U.S. presidential election. Benchmark U.S. 10-year note yields also advanced, climbing 21 basis points to their highest since January in their biggest increase in more than 3 years. The Mexican peso recouped some losses after falling to a record low. The currency has been vulnerable to Trump's threats to rip up a free trade agreement with Mexico and to tax money sent home by migrants to pay for building a border wall. The United States Postal Service is not on the same page with a major Chinese company that claims they have an agreement in the works. The USPS would not confirm or deny to CNBC the existence of an agreement with a major Chinese package shipping firm that just launched an initial public offering in the United States. Meanwhile, the Chinese company in question has posted photographs online of an apparent deal signing between the two. Gold price gains of 4.5% overnight Tuesday were all erased by the close of London trade yesterday, with a $20 rebound, then fading on this day as world stock markets extended their rally following Donald Trump's surprise victory in the U.S. presidential election. Gold prices were then trading at $1,114, some 12% below this week's low point, near $1,269 per ounce. Gold prices touched $1,270 late yesterday as the market retraced its entire 4.5% jump before rallying 20 per ounce in Thursday's Asian and early London trade. The standoff between Tata Group's patriarch and his estranged successor intensified in India's biggest feud since a quarrel between the billionaire Ambani brothers broke out more than a decade ago. The Ratan Tata-led camp on Wednesday took steps to muscle Mistry out of the group's largest subsidiary and accused him of being a poor leader who is seeking to wrest control of some key units. The deepening dispute threatens to prolong the turmoil roiling a $100 billion business empire that makes products ranging from table salt to Jaguar sports cars.